Welcome to the Better Together podcast, where we look at ways that we can work together and come together to more effectively serve the body of Christ. Today we have with us Rob Conley. He's the Director of Financial Operations, the CFO for Free Will Baptist International Missions. He also, and that's what he'll talk to us about today, is the Director of Security at the National Association of Free Will Baptist, and he is an active church member of the Donelson Fellowship, where he heads the security team up there. So we have him today talking to us about how we can make our churches safer, how we can have our own security and be a blessing to those of our churches out there. So thank you, Rob, for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
You bet. Well, we want to start out by just reminding our churches, our pastors, and our leaders to always consult with your sheriff, your local sheriff department, your local police department. They'll usually come out and speak with you, or they may have something scheduled already that they would talk to several churches about. But first of all, we do want you to consult with them, and it's just good for them to come to your campus, your church, to see what it's like, and they can more effectively point out some of the needs you may have to make your facility secure, and also to consult with your insurance company. So sometimes your insurance company will have various videos. Your actual agent may have some little tests or forms that you complete that help you to really reduce your rate sometimes.
Yeah.
So check with your insurance agency and check with your local law enforcement. With all that said, though, there's some things, Rob, that churches can do to make themselves safer environments. So let's talk about that today. What should they be thinking about, especially in the day and time that we live in now?
Yeah, I appreciate you having that list. There is one thing I'd add to the list, and that's just your attorney.
Oh, yes.
Your local church attorney. In the state of Tennessee, there's such a thing called proprietary security organization. And here at the Free Will Baptist National Offices, we went through the process to be listed with the Department of Commerce and Insurance so that we can employ, which we don't. We have volunteer security presence here. But the same thing at churches. So just make sure what you're doing in your local church is really consistent with whatever the state laws are where you are, as it relates to either having volunteer security team or hiring local law enforcement.
So all those folks will help out and are good folks to consult with, and that's the start. Start with your law enforcement, your insurance. Start with your attorney, and then we've got churches of all different sizes out there. But every church can be more secure. What are some first steps after those they can take?
Yeah, once you've taken those steps, I think the most important thing is for it to be a whole church movement, from your senior pastor, whatever that looks like in your church context, through volunteers in the church. But it is important to start with the why. And I think that, we don't want to go Rambo. We don't want to install some type of police state inside a church. The church is still about the lost.
Yes.
And, reaching the lost, strengthening and encouraging the believer. There's a motto that we have on our church security team there at Donelson, that we want the worst of the worst to come to our church and have a life-changing encounter with Jesus Christ.
That's very good.
And so I think as a church environment, you really need to start there. Because if you start anywhere else, it just starts to feel wrong.
Yeah.
And some of the resources that I follow, they talk about approaching security and safety from a pastoral perspective and from the Good Shepherd perspective.
Yes.
And there's a lot of shepherd references throughout Scripture. Christ himself was called the Good Shepherd. And so there's all those references there. But approaching it from a pastoral perspective rather than a venue security.
Excellent.
Here in Nashville, Tennessee, we have Bridgestone Arena where the Predators play. And you can really secure a venue like that when you have metal detectors, wands, pat downs, bag searches, you can really secure that type of venue in that environment. I doubt we're going to do that at the church.
Well, that's a good starting point. So that could be with the message. That could be with Bible studies. So let's kind of delve into that a little bit. Sometimes these particular shooters or individuals have some mental health issues. Sometimes they've have some depression issues. And so it could be that a pastor or some other church leader teaches a bit about some of those things and what we might do, for example, just observing people, watching people, kind of like Joseph did with the cupbearer and with the cook. And so you're kind of watching people and observing people, not in a suspicious manner, but again, kind of like Joseph, why are you so downtrodden? Or why are you so sad? So what you're saying is we want to be secure, but we don't want to lose sight of who we are.
Exactly.
We're a place for lost people and hurting people, and we don't want to lose that in this whole process, like you could in other avenues, like with the Predators or other sports venues, we'll say. Yeah. Good. So you're saying start with the right mindset.
Exactly.
And so we've got the mindset. And I suspect we also need to form ourselves some folks that are interested in helping out with protecting folks at the church. How do we go about doing that?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of opening up that opportunity. Lots of churches have either current law enforcement, former law enforcement, current military, former military, or just those that have that shepherd mindset that just wants to see people safe. Part of, if people can come to church in an environment where they feel safe, they don't feel distracted by the insecurities, they're more free to worship, they're more free to listen, to hear the message. And so that's what we're trying to provide. And going about that is opening that opportunity and just hoping and praying and trusting that the Lord's going to send the people that you need.
Yes.
And even not send the people you don't need.
Yes. Okay. So let's start out with the people we need, and then we'll go to the ones we don't need. And you keep coming back to the shepherd. In the research, there's a type of person called a sheepdog, which a lot of times you'll see people that are, well, hopefully most of the people in law enforcement would be sheepdogs, and a lot of people in the military. And they've kind of got a sense of danger. They're people that will put themselves in danger sometimes to protect others. And so it sounds like you're saying, whatever size your church may be, you probably have a sheepdog or two around. It could be a sheriff deputy. It could be somebody that's been in the service. It could just be someone that's kind of just caring for others and watching for others and kind of calm under pressure, perhaps. So we're looking for those folks. We're starting, it sounds like, with people that have done things like this in the past. They've been to accident scenes, perhaps where people have passed away. They've served in combat zones maybe, or maybe not. They just know how to handle themselves. There are people you don't want, though, aren't there? Tell us a bit about some of those folks. Not with names, though, Rob.
Yeah, not with names. Now, I think the people that we try to avoid is the person that's just all about it.
Yeah.
And, the person that comes across as that Rambo or that Rambo wannabe.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
No.
We want the person that's more focused on the soul and their eternal salvation and their eternal safety, but happens to also understand we want to provide an earthly safety and a place to worship in freedom. And that just, it looks different from church to church. So don't look at one church and try to do exactly that, because it might not fit in your church.
Right.
So understand the context of where you're coming from, the size of your church, the way your church sits on the property that you have.
Well, let's think through that for a bit. So it sounds a bit like the ideal person isn't trying to call attention to themselves. They're just trying to help. They're trying to make people safe. And we should probably say the people you comprise of your security team, probably everyone doesn't need to know about that, doesn't need to know who those people would be. Sometimes, and a lot of times, the danger is coming like from a domestic violence situation. Yeah. And so it's people that may be part of the security team that only really the inner core, the leadership knows about. And so it is kind of a nameless kind of thing. It can be in some settings.
Yeah, it can be, and in some cases it should be.
Yes.
I think churches need to have a good blend.
Mm-hmm.
At our church, we hire a local police officer.
Mm-hmm.
So his vehicle sits in front of the church. He's there helping with traffic, but he's also inside the facility when the service is going.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of foot traffic across the street. And so there is a visible deterrence that there's a vehicle, there's a uniformed officer. I think a good balance of that with some people who are in plain clothes.
Uh-huh.
Now at our church, we use radios.
Mm-hmm.
And I think communication is one of those vital things that a security team or safety team needs. So even if you're using the earpiece, maybe you're not wearing a shirt that says security.
Yeah.
But you're probably fairly easy to pick them out because they're wearing an earpiece.
Yeah.
But I think a good balance of that is really kind of what we're after.
So you guys have paid police officers. There's others that'll have paid security protective service. And basically this is not a soft target. It's kind of a message to people that might think, oh, I could go in and create some trouble. At some point, law enforcement, someone's going to respond. Even if someone doesn't hire police officers, you're saying it's a good thing that there be some awareness that there's security there. Sometimes that's through cameras, but that kind of gives people a sense of these folks are watching things, whether I'm a parent dropping my kid off at the nursery and I can feel a little bit safer. They've got procedures, they've got security, or I'm someone that has some bad intentions. Maybe I should go down, or maybe this is not the place because these people probably would cut it off. And so you're saying a kind of a balance. You've got people that are kind of seen, people that are not seen so much.
Yeah, and I think the word awareness is so key.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do much research into security, even venue security, but especially church security, there's a phrase called concentric circles of protection.
Mm-hmm.
And concentric circles in a church environment, starts with your parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to look differently from church to church, place to place. But then as you come in from that, then you get into your greeter ministry. And again, it's different from place to place. And then you kind of get inside that to maybe your ushers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get inside that maybe to your actual safety team or security team and your pastoral staff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got all these circles, all of which need to be aware.
Excellent.
And all of which need to have some means of communicating to those that the church has tasked to address things. And so that awareness is so key in being able to identify. And you also talked about, somebody that can be visible. Mm-hmm. And without getting into a whole lot of the specifics, the church shooting that happened in South Carolina a handful of years ago, where a young man who I won't mention went into a primarily black congregation and killed several people.
Yes.
FBI interviews with that individual later showed that was the 5th church he went to that night.
Okay.
And so the first 4 that he went to had a parking lot ministry, had a greeter ministry, and he told the FBI I wouldn't be able to get out of the vehicle without being seen.
Okay.
So he went somewhere else.
Excellent.
So it's just really important. And you don't want those people focused on safety security. You want them focused on ministry.
Mm-hmm.
But safety security is a part of that overall ministry.
It is. So the greeters, the ushers, the parking lot folks, everybody kind of needs to be on the same page, talked about things. We have to go back to how you started with, the right attitude. We're thinking about people that are lost. And so it's important, I think, for all of our folks to remember sometimes just being a good, godly person, having the fruit of the Spirit come out, is a good deterrent against some of these things, making contact with people. And so the greeters, the people in the parking lot, the ushers, you tend to get a sense something's not right with the person, that
Right.
you want to pass that along. And so basically what I hear you saying is we try to work that through with all the different folks we have. Now, you've mentioned the radios a couple of times, and so radios are very helpful. You mentioned the earpieces as well. So like someone can, if you've got the radios, someone can say, well, there's something going on in the parking lot, or there's a guy coming in with a red shirt I'm a little worried about, and you can pass that through the chain. Some of our people may say, we don't have that kind of thing. You can, we most of us do have cell phones, and so it might be a good idea just to have your securities, your greeter folks. You just send a text and say, hey, guy coming in the front door, got red on, and there's a lot we can really do if we think through our situation.
And if a local church doesn't want to spend the money or doesn't have the money, our church used the family radios for years. The ones you can buy for $25 at Walmart. Those work fine. We've since upgraded to more of a business class radio, but radio, I would prefer radio over cell phones, because all you have to do with a radio is push a button and talk. Where a cell phone,
it's kind of
you have to dial, and if you're in a stressful situation,
it's hard.
That could get difficult. And sending a text, if you're just sharing information that's not immediately critical, a text is probably a good idea. One of the things I would caution, kind of a funny story. We had somebody come on campus at our church that looked questionable.
Yes.
And that person was being described to me over a radio that happened to be an open speaker, not an earpiece radio.
Oh, no.
And the guy standing right beside me. And so just, when you're
using
radios like that, just be careful what you say, how you say it. You might want some type of signal to change channels on your radio, which we have at our church, to jump to different channel.
Yeah. So. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So sometimes, and there's codes. And so like you'll hear people, like if folks that's worked in hospitals, you've got a code and you know what that is. So it may be that our folks, you get together with your security team and you even talk those things through a bit. I should say I used to work in prisons, and sometimes I would be in situations that I was with the person and I was trying to convey that we had a problem, but I couldn't just say, hey, we got a problem, because then we got a bigger problem. And after that, I was in a university setting, and I was in a situation once where a guy was dangerous. I was trying to convey to people to call the police, and no one picked up on it. So often people just don't want to think in these terms. And so as a result of that, I just started having code words. And I would get on the phone and say, hey, Samantha, have you ordered the pizza? Or Jimmy, have you ordered the pizza? And those things we would do even at the church as a pastor. Sometimes you see things in the congregation, and if they ever heard me say, hey, Herb, have you ordered the pizza? He knows something's wrong. I just wanted to bring that up. I'm sorry to bring that in the sermon. And everybody in the security team knows something's up. So it's good to have code and just be careful about what people will hear, isn't it? Yeah,
we have the similar codes here in the Free Will Baptist National offices. We have similar things at the church where we are. And so those... But
that tips
pick your language,
off, doesn't it?
Pick something that, is common everyday language, but that people who need to know what that means.
Yes.
Because like you said, the person could be right next to you.
Right.
And you don't want to alarm them, but you need to get help.
And so let's talk about that a little bit. When you do encounter someone that may be dangerous or you are concerned about, if you do have a means of getting a message to others via radio or via a code, we tend to relax. And so that's something we really need to do with these types of situations, don't we?
Yeah.
And so have your code down, relax, know that the Lord's there. He's going to help you with the situation. And for me personally, if I know somebody else is handling the law enforcement or whatever, then I can real coolly and calmly work with the person. Now, I've heard at Donelson there was a fellow once that came into the congregation, and it sounds like some of the situations with our shootings, and he sat toward the front, and then you went and sat beside of him. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think it's really a good model for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, there was an individual that had some mental health issues, and we'd had some encounters with him before. But in this particular day, he happened to be sitting on the front row of the service, cutting his toenails during the service. First and only time I've ever experienced that. But there were two of us, an usher and myself. We just went up and sat down beside him. And we knew him well enough. We didn't really deem him to be, a really critical danger threat. We just knew he's a little unstable. And so we just went up and sat down beside him.
So that did two things. Number one, people within the congregation that see this and get very nervous about it, when they see it being addressed in a nice, calm manner, then all of a sudden they tend to relax, and they may still look over, but they get back into worship and the service. And the other thing is, a lot of times it is folks that have a mental health issue that do some of these things. And sometimes it's a fine line between everything going just fine and it going really badly. But really, you guys were you're really kind of showing you cared about him, and it's business as usual, and we're just here to worship, and it's kind of a way of diffusing a situation, isn't it?
It is, and I think it points out some of the complexities of church security. Where if you're doing venue security like we talked about earlier, it's pretty simple.
Yes.
The people that come in are this, or that don't come in are that. Where in a church environment, we want everybody to come in. But when something feels askew, and you try to address it from a ministry perspective, the language you would use in that context could be vast and all sorts of things. But one approach could be, hey, something seems off today. Is there something I can help you with? I'd love to pray with you. Can we step outside?
Excellent.
So, and their response to that will probably give you a little bit of indication as to where they are. And do you then need to get law enforcement involved?
Good.
And I just like to caution everybody, putting hands on somebody is fraught with danger.
Yes.
And so you really, really need to be very, very careful about doing any type of hands-on escorts. The best thing to do, I was at a seminar this Monday where we actually looked at the shooting in Texas just a week ago. But the best thing to do is to, if at all possible, ask somebody, hey, let's step outside. But then if you get to a point where they refuse, explore it with your church leadership, explore it with your attorney, explore it with your local laws. But in the state of Tennessee, once someone has been informed, if you don't come out with me, I'm going to have to consider you trespassing. And once you're trespassing, then law enforcement gets involved. And so just be cautious how you approach that. It's just it's a sticky wicket, so to speak.
So you're really trying to come across soft. You're really trying to come across, and by soft I mean, like you said earlier, not a Rambo type. You're empathetic. You're really thinking like 1 Corinthians 9, putting yourself in the shoes of this person, thinking about what they've experienced. One last thing is, sometimes folks are upset. They've asked for money, and the church has said they can't provide. So one of the things you have been very instrumental in here is we handle things, we give something to folks like who have a particular need.
Yeah.
You want to talk a bit about that and how we can use those almost as a carrot to get people kind of eased back in and kind of okay with their demeanor and their behavior and so forth.
Yeah, here at the national offices, we occasionally have folks that come by that just need help that day. Mm-hmm. And honestly, most of them are probably after cash.
Yeah.
But we're just uncomfortable doing cash. So we've put together some bags that has some things that we think would be helpful. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a food bar or a bottle of water. You know, I think biblically and scripturally we probably should help when we can. Mm-hmm. You know, the scripture references, you gave a cup of cold water in my name.
Yes.
So I think there's some good things there. But, you know, on a security level, we're really trying to diffuse something.
Yeah.
And we're trying to help somebody in a way that we can help them in that context without violating any of our convictions. You know, we don't want to fund the purchase of something that we may disagree with. Mm-hmm. And so we're trying to do something to just, you know, be minister to them that day in that context.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing for our folks out there to think about, in a security situation, we often think about law enforcement, but also think about EMS, think about, especially like with mental illness. There are some folks that, you know, they need hospitalization or they need to go to the mental health center. They're not taking their medication. And so sometimes you have to have law enforcement to handle things like that. But kind of look at the person, the complete picture, because we're really, as Christians, we're at a crossroads. We can try to be really hard, a very secure venue, and basically then there's no place for folks with a mental illness or some of these other issues. We want to be inviting, as you started out with, to everyone and try to meet their needs. And somebody's going to have to do this. So the Lord has really called us. Let's do it and try to do it effectively.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you, my friend. We appreciate the good work you do, and you just keep at it. And we encourage folks to go to our website. We've got some more information there that would be of help to them. And again, to consult, Rob mentioned talk to your attorney, talk to your insurance company, talk to your local law enforcement. They'd love to help you out. And we just pray that we'll handle these situations well. There'll be opportunities for us as we minister. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.